So first I'd like to start by asking a few questions. How many people here have tattoos or know somebody who has tattoos? All right, so a good number of you. And how many people here have piercings or know somebody who has some sort of unique piercing? Okay. And how many people here are managing multiple websites? Okay, great. Well, for those of you who do have tattoos and piercings or know somebody who does, it's very possible that they purchased their supplies from one of our websites. So PainfulPleasures.com is the largest revenue generator for us. We also sell on PeakNeedles.com, MonsterSteel.com, Fellowship, Injecta, Holdfast, Pound of Flesh, Recovery, and eBay and Amazon. And the way we've been able to do this is by the solid infrastructure we've put in place over the past few years, with Magento as the core for the websites, and Celigo and NetSuite as the vital yet supporting pieces that really hold everything together. Before I get started to talk about how we've streamlined our operations with Magento and Celigo and NetSuite, I want to touch on how we got to using the three technologies. So back in 2011, I started with Painful Pleasures, and I saw a great opportunity. So we were selling on Xcart as our shopping cart, PainfulPleasures.com. We were also selling on eBay and Amazon. The thing that we were struggling with was inventory, going to different systems to print out orders, out-of-stock items constantly on all of the different marketplaces, keeping up with product descriptions on all of the different marketplaces. But before we could really streamline any of that, we needed to set up solid infrastructure. And we recognized at the time that Magento was the place to be in e-commerce. So I spent the first 2 years at Painful Pleasures working with our developer to migrate from Xcart to Magento. It took a while because we had a lot of data. The data was kind of messed up. And I call this phase Project Santiago because right around the same time that we launched the website, I had this little guy. The next phase at Painful Pleasures, I call Project Andres. I spent the next year and a half of my life at Painful Pleasures just cleaning up. Things were still kind of a mess. So cleaning up inventory, cleaning up processes, cleaning up the warehouse, cleaning up customer service. And part of that cleanup was cleaning up the website. So you can see on the left, the old website design. It's like a design from the mid-2000s. And on the right, the upgraded website design. And about a week before I had this little guy, Andres, we launched on Magento 1. Or we launched our new website. And the third phase at Painful Pleasures really solidified everything for us. And I call this Project Agustin. I spent the next few years I spent a few months looking for an ERP system and a way to connect that ERP system to our infrastructure, to Magento, to eBay, to Amazon, so that we could solve our immediate problem of out of stocks, of going to different systems to print out orders. And so when I found NetSuite, we then went on the journey of implementation. It took us about 8 months to implement it, and then a few months to connect it to Celigo, connect Magento, eBay, and Amazon via Celigo. And of course, around the time that I was doing all this, I had this little guy, Agustin. So now I'd like to talk about how we went through 8 connectors in the past 2 years. So the first 3 connectors I talked about, Magento 1, eBay, and Amazon. So we did that in the mid-2016. And from there, we spent about a year developing branded websites. So those branded websites that I talked about in that first slide, or the second slide. And so because of the solid infrastructure we put into place, we were able to develop the branded websites. So once we did that, we were able to connect those sites to NetSuite via Celigo in mid-2017. And then the next part of our journey was upgrading PainfulPleasures from Magento 1 to Magento 2. This took a little less than 2 years, the first project that we worked on. It took about 8 months. Our PainfulPleasures database is big. We have 40,000 SKUs. We have tons of customers. We have tons of orders. So the migration of the data was hard, but we were able to do it with Shiro Commerce, who are developers. Over the past summer, we purchased, and then we did the connection of Magento 2 to to NetSuite via Celigo earlier this year. We launched. And then the next 3 connectors we did were eBay, Amazon, and Shopify. So over the summer, we purchased one of our competitors, monstersteel.com. And Celigo offers a lot of different connections. They offer a connection with Shopify. We connected it within a week. eBay and Amazon, the next connectors, they were phasing out the old connectors. And we got the new connectors, and we were able to do it within a few weeks as well. So now that I've talked about all of the different connectors that we have gone through in the last 2 years, I'd like to talk about, so how did we connect them? How do they work, and how did it help us? Oh, and then also a screenshot of the different websites that we have. So PainfulPleasures is our newest design, and A Pound of Flesh, and Peak Needles, and Recovery Aftercare. We've really seen some solid growth over the past 10 years because of the solid infrastructure that we've put into place. So in 2008, we were at 5 million, and this year we're hoping to get to about 24 million with 2 months left. And we've been able to do that because of the different websites we've launched, because of the solid infrastructure we've put in place, because now we're not running out of items anymore, because now we're going into one system and printing out all of our orders. And now we're going to one system to update all of our content and send out that information to all of the different websites. So what does Celigo look like? What is NetSuite? And how are we using it with Magento? So NetSuite is the ERP system. This is how we do business. All of our different operations are in NetSuite. Accounting, warehouse, customer service. We're really able to manage every aspect of our business in one system. And how did we connect it to Magento and to eBay and to Amazon? We connected it via Celigo, the integrator. So when you log into Celigo, you see 5 different integrations, the different integrations we have. We have an integration with Magento 2 PainfulPleasures, Magento 2 branded sites, eBay, Amazon, and Shopify, Monster Steel. And what I really like about when you log into the Celigo dashboard is that you can see what's going on in your business. You can see 3 of the connections at this point in time. All of the workflows were going fine. Everything was successful. And 2 of the workflows had errors. So what did we do? We logged in, we looked at them, and we diagnosed them, and we fixed them. When you click on each of those instances, you're presented with workflows. There are 8 workflows for the Magento Celigo integrator. There's the general workflow, the order workflow, the fulfillment, inventory, billing, returns, cancellation, and images. And you can see all the different websites, Magento websites, Shopify, and marketplaces. So when you go into the general workflow, what the general workflow is doing is it's sharing information from Magento 2 and sending it over to NetSuite. The general workflow is sharing customer group information, store views, website, as well as product attributes and categories. So you can see in the screenshot on the left, you have your Magento fields, and on the right, the corresponding NetSuite fields. Now I'm going to discuss basically how the workflows work, and this is true of all of the workflows in Celigo. So on the left top-hand corner, you can see a screenshot of what the general workflows are, the 6 that I just named. And there are 5 different columns. In the second column, you can see the field mappings. And the way the workflow is working is you have your NetSuite column and you have your Magento column. You're telling the system, okay, I want to map Magento field X to NetSuite field X. And the system is taking that information and sending the information back and forth. To run the workflow, you click Run. To schedule a workflow, you can schedule it on 15-minute increments, daily increments, weekly increments, or you don't have to schedule it at all. When you run a workflow, you log in and you click on your dashboard and you can see what's going on with that workflow. Is it waiting in queue? Is it in progress? Is it completed? Are there errors? And so what I really like is that when there is an error, you click on it and you can see right away what that error is and diagnose it and fix it. And if you don't know how to fix it, you contact Celigo support and they help you. So the next workflow is the order workflow. And this along with the product workflow have really transformed our business. These are the two workflows that have just made life so much easier. Because now I'm not going into Magento. I'm not going into eBay. I'm not going into Amazon. I'm not going into 3 separate places to print out orders. I'm going into NetSuite because all of the orders are flowing from the different systems into NetSuite. And so you can see here an order on the left from Magento and an order on the right from NetSuite, the corresponding order with all of the same information. So how does it work? So I mentioned that it's by field mappings. So you can see on the right, the field mappings. You have a field in Magento and a corresponding field in NetSuite. And you're telling the system simply, hey, I want to map this field to this field. Send me over. Now, how many of us here may have or how many of you here have a unique customization on your checkout? Okay, a few people. Well, what I really like about Magento and NetSuite and Celigo is that each of the systems are customizable. And so PainfulPleasures has a lot of customizations on its checkout. So with customizations, that means we have to send that information over to NetSuite, and we have to tell the system what information we want to send over. So I'll just give you one example. On our checkout, we offer cash on delivery, so COD, as a form of payment. Well, along with the cash on delivery, we charge a $13.50 fee. Well, there was no easy way to get that information, $13.50, from Magento over to NetSuite via Celigo. So I worked with Shiro, I worked with Celigo, and I worked with NetSuite, and we came up with this solution. We said, if the form of payment is COD, I created a custom field in NetSuite and sent that information over to NetSuite. And what it did is Celigo sent over the information and said, check off this checkbox, and if this box is checked, trigger a script, which they helped me write, which automatically adds a COD fee to the order. We did the same thing with our signature fee and with our insurance fee. And then there are other fields that are just plain and simple. Gift design, gift messages, just a one-to-one. You create a field in Magento, you create a field in NetSuite, and you map it. So the next flow that I'd like to talk about that has also transformed our business is the product workflow. And so, like I discussed, we were going into each of the different systems. If we had to make an update to a product because something changed on it, we had to go into Magento, we had to go into eBay, we had to go into Amazon. It was hard to keep track of. And so what NetSuite allows us to do is go to one place and send that information over to all of these shopping carts. So you can see on the left a screenshot of NetSuite. And in NetSuite, there's the item record. And we created a content tab which houses all of the information for all of the products. So we have a section for branded sites. We have a section for PainfulPleasures, for eBay, for Amazon. and for Monster Steel now. And so we enter in the information, and via the workflow, when it's triggered, it sends that information over to each of the different systems. So on the left, I have a screenshot of NetSuite. In the middle, I have a screenshot of both of our Magento 2 sites. And then on the right, I have a screenshot of what it looks like on the front end. And that was all done by the product workflow. And then here's just a screenshot of what the product workflow looks like in the back end. So very similar to the general workflow. And then on the bottom left corner is the saved search. So NetSuite works off of saved searches. It's just a request for information. So you're telling NetSuite, hey, I'm requesting this information from you. Find it for me and send it over to Celigo, which then sends it over to Magento. And then on the bottom right is the corresponding mappings, NetSuite and Magento. Now the next 6 workflows that I'm going to talk about were very simple. There was very few customizations that were made. Fulfillment and inventory and billing are the first 3. Fulfillment is just sending tracking information from NetSuite over to Magento. It's simple. You fulfill an order in NetSuite and that sends it over. Inventory workflow, and that's the top 2 screenshots of NetSuite and the corresponding record in Magento. And then on the bottom, it's the billing flow. Somebody pays for an item or an order in Magento, and that sends over corresponding cash sale or invoice over to NetSuite. And that's a 2-way flow. And inventory, this is the 3rd flow that's revolutionized our business. Prior to NetSuite, we had out-of-stock issues all of the time. It was just a constant. With 40,000 SKUs and selling on multiple channels, it was really hard to keep track of and update things in time. So what this does is updates things in time. It works off of a delta. If somebody purchases something on Magento, sends that over to NetSuite, inventory changes, there's a delta, and that sends that new inventory over to each of the other channels. And this is just what they look like in Celigo. And the last 3 workflows, 2 of them we don't use. There's images, cancellations, and refunds. So images and refunds we don't use. Images we don't use because the sheer number of products that we have, if we were to store all of our images in NetSuite and store all of them in Magento, it would just there's just too much cost to the data of storing it. For refunds, our accounting, we've been working over the years, and we just find it easier to keep track of and do the refunds manually. And the cancellations is just an automatic flow. You cancel an order in NetSuite, and it cancels it over in Magento. And the Amazon, eBay, and Shopify connectors work very similarly. They all have very similar workflows. The difference in Amazon is there is an additional workflow for settlement. So how many people here are selling on Amazon? Okay, so a few people. So everybody knows every 2 weeks you get paid. Well, this settlement workflow will send all of that information over. And then on eBay, very similar workflows, and same with on Shopify. So with that, I'd just like to talk a little bit about the challenges and successes that we've had at PainfulPleasures. So some of the challenges that we've had there have been some technological challenges, but I feel like those are pretty easy in comparison to the challenges of working with people, because people are hard. People don't like change, and as you see, we've been through a lot of change at PainfulPleasures in the past just 2 years. And so I would say if we can deal with the change management in an appropriate way and managing people's expectations and people's emotions, then the technology is really easy. Especially with great companies like Shiro, who manage our website, and NetSuite and Celigo. And the successes have really been just seeing people grow and seeing the company grow as a result of these great technologies. And with that, thank you very much. And if anybody has any questions.
My question is in regards to promotions. Do
So for promotions, we do it via dot mailer. So dot mailer is connected directly to Magento. For promotions, like what kind of promotions? Discounts. So discounts we can't see because of the lights. Discounts we create directly in Magento. That pushes over to dot mailer, and if somebody uses a discount in Magento, that pushes to NetSuite. And we can run reports of what discounts were used because those discount codes are pulled into NetSuite. It depends on how you schedule it. So the schedule allows you to do things at different times. So for example, our product flow, we have scheduled at 15-minute increments. That's the minimum. That's the minimum that you can do is 15-minute increments. Then you can do 30, 1 hour. So inventory, because we have 40,000 products, it is just a delta, but we do every 2 hours. Customers are every 15 minutes. Orders are every 15 minutes because we need orders, same business.
Well, you mentioned the challenge.
Yeah.
You have multiple sites. So what's your logic in terms of which order is the best?
There isn't really any logic. It's just that when an order is, I have the inventory on 2-hour flows. And so when an inventory piece is sold or an item is sold on one of the different websites, then that gets pushed to NetSuite with an order. It gets committed. So NetSuite's logic is committing something to an order. It's not actually, taken out of inventory until you fulfill it. It's committed to the order. Your quantity available changes, and when your quantity available changes, depending on the workflow that you set up or the schedule that you've set up, that sends it out to all of the different websites. Yeah. Sometimes we do have out of stock still. I mean, it's not completely eliminated because of that. And we sell wholesale, so there are wholesale customers who will purchase 100 and the inventory flow isn't fast enough. So it's not real time. It's on, scheduled workflows. And Celigo used to do real time, but the new integrator that they launched, I think last year, is all based on workflows and increments because I think it's more efficient. Sure.
In terms, do you have a lot of short-term issues or?
So, like back orders?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. We have quite a few back orders. Yeah.